Do we want to know what it is that you're good at and what gives you energy? Yes, we do. But you could be good at all of these things. It's not about that. It's not about, well, I'm just not good at being tenacious, or I'm not good at creating new things. So if you're running a music studio, guess what? You've been using all 6. It's not about if you're good at them or not. It's about how much energy each one gives you and how much the other ones drain you. Hey there and hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Scrappy Piano Teacher Podcast. My name is Jacqueline Rosick, but of course you can call me Jackie, and this is the podcast for teachers who want to create music and magic for their studios while also building something sustainable for themselves. So if you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to be here. And if you are not new here, make sure you subscribe. Anyway, all right. So this week we're going to actually get into it because I talked all about the intro to this amazing series, this amazing, awesome series that you're just going to love. It's going to change your life. Not really, but I still think you're going to be really, really excited about it. And today we're going to get into it. But first, before we jump into today's episode, I just want to really take a second and say thank you. Thank you so much to all of you. I love you guys so much. Last week was the MTNA conference in Chicago. As I'm sure if you're on social media, you probably saw nonstop stuff about it. Hopefully you were there, but if you weren't there and you had a little bit of FOMO, it's okay. I promise there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to go to that I'm going to be insanely jealous with FOMO about as well. It's just one of those things. We can't always go to all the things, but that's okay because that's why you have podcasts, right? Then we can bring all the good stuff to you right there in your headphones. But anyway, I got to meet so many of you in person, and that was really, really special to have people come up and say, hey, I listen, or yeah, I listened to a few episodes, that kind of thing, and share something that resonated with them or some of their favorite episodes meant so much to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I also wanted to say thank you for the excitement around the Coda books. I have been really humbled by my little doggy storybooks and the excitement that you guys helped to build around those. It's been a really fun project for me. It's definitely not my main thing. It's not something that I'm building a whole business around, and I don't plan on building a whole business around it. But it's something that I care about a lot. That has meant a lot to myself and my students, and it's something that I just wanted to put out there for teachers in case it helped them. And so hearing about how some of you are using them in your studios or how excited you are to try them, that was really encouraging. And it kind of reminded me of something that ties into today's episode, because when you create something, especially as a teacher, it's usually not because it's going to completely change your workload. You do it because it matters to you. It's something that you're really passionate about and excited about, and because you think it's going to help somebody. And I think that's a really good example of how different types of work show up in what we do, because we're all a team here. We're all independent music teachers, but really we're all a team cheering each other on and giving each other ideas and lifting one another up because of our different strengths. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be talking about today. Last week, I talked about this idea of energizing work versus draining work and the whole burnout troll monster, right, if you will. And this week, I want to start putting language into what it actually looks like for you. It's called the 6 Working Genius. And I do want to say this up front. I am not certified in this framework. I don't have any official title. I am just someone who has gone down a very, very, very deep rabbit hole with this. And I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon, okay? But I am a piano teacher. I've been doing it for, I'm almost done with my 28th year. I do work with music teachers all the time. I'm probably on my 5th year of doing that. And the more I look at this through the lens, the more I think this explains so much of what we all experience. And before I get into the 6 types of the working genius, I want to ground us in a few things that are really important. According to this framework, all work falls into 6 types, and each of us tend to have 2 that energize us, 2 that we're fine with, they're okay, they're not, maybe not our favorite thing, but like it's cool, right? And then we have 2 that just consistently drain us. Maybe we put it off. Maybe those are the things that we procrastinate. And one of the biggest takeaways is that the burnout that we go through isn't about doing too much. Doing all 6 of these jobs in our studio, it's a lot anyway. That is a lot of work, but that's not necessarily where the burnout's always coming from. A lot of times it's about spending too much time doing the kind of work that drains you, doing your bottom two. And in most businesses, these types of work are spread across an entire team. But in a small business, especially like a music studio, one person is usually responsible for all of it. And as music teachers, we're not just doing one role, we're doing all six every single week. It was interesting at the MTNA. I did meet a couple of teachers that work in studios where they get paid well with W-2s, not just as contractors, and their admin is all taken care of. So there was one gal who was looking at the Coda books and she was like, well, if I purchase the studio license, it belongs to me and my students, but I can send the file to this one gal and she'll print them all out for me and bind them for me. And I'm like, what? Like, where do you live? What's the name of the studio? So I can just like up and move. Cause how amazing does that sound? Doesn't that sound amazing? Totally got off course there. But for the most part, all of us, we're doing all six jobs every single week. We don't have that amazing, wonderful gal to print off our studio licenses and bind them. Oh, so sad. Anyway, okay. Going back to the 6 types, they fall into 3 phases. All right. You have the ideation, activation, and implementation. So you can think of it like ideation equals coming up with ideas. Activation is deciding what to do. And then the implementation is actually doing it. Okay. So I'm going to go to the ideation types first. There's 2 of them. The first one is wonder. Now I think that this is going to resonate with a lot of you guys because y'all are a bunch of creative people. But wonder is a person who asks, why? Why? This is the person who notices that something isn't quite right? They pause, they reflect, they question. In a music studio, this might look like, why isn't this working for this student? Why does this part of my studio feel off? Is there a better way to do this? And in a business, this is the person identifying problems or gaps before anyone else sees them. And I think that the wonder type can be misunderstood as maybe a little slow at getting things going, or maybe even as overthinkers. But what they're actually doing is identifying the problem before the solution even exists. And so you can ask yourself, if you're thinking, maybe this is me, ask yourself this. Do I naturally pause and question things before moving forward? Okay. Now, the other that goes with the ideation is invention. So number 1 was wonder. Now I'm moving on to invention. Again, I wonder how many of this is you guys. Invention is ideas. This is your creative brain, my creative fellow people. Okay. In your studio, this could look like new games, new lesson ideas, new activities, new recital themes, new systems. Writing something yourself. In a business, this is the person generating the possibilities. It can totally 100% be misunderstood as somebody who's more scattered or impulsive because they've got an idea and they're like, we got to do it. Let's just do it now. But what they're actually doing is they're creating options that wouldn't exist otherwise. If you're thinking that invention might be you, a question that might go along with this is, do I get excited about new ideas even if I don't always follow through? So maybe you have like 100 ideas that started or that you have like simmering in your brain, and maybe you've only actually done 1 or 2 of them. That's a very good indicator that you could be an invention kind of person. I do want to talk about wonder, not versus invention, but I just want to talk about the pair because they can seem like opposites, but okay, so let me put it this way. Wonder can feel slower and invention can feel faster, right? And sometimes those can feel like they're working against one another, but they're really meant to work together. One is asking really good questions, the right questions, and the others is creating the possible answers. So if you skip wonder, you might solve the wrong problem. If you stay in wonder, you might never move forward. All right, so those cover the whole ideation phases, if you will. Okay, activation. So, activation, deciding what to do. So, what are those two? That is discernment and it's galvanizing. So, I'll start with discernment first. So, discernment is judgment. This is your gut. People are always saying, listen to your gut, listen to your gut. Okay, so in your studio, this is when you might pivot in a lesson because something isn't working. Like, have you ever been teaching and you can see it's not clicking with your student and you had this whole plan and it's not working. And so you're like, boop, shifting it on over, right? Do a little bit of a pivot. In a business, this is usually the person that makes pretty decent judgment calls and strong decision making. So if you think that this might be you, you can ask yourself, do I tend to just know when something isn't right? Like I can't explain it. I just have like this intuitiveness to just know when something isn't right. Now the galvanizing is movement. All right. This is getting people going. So you might be one of those people that you're getting the students going, you're getting the parents going. You're like, give me the group classes, give me the partner classes, give me the one-on-ones. Let's go. Let's build this. Let's do it all. In a business, this is the person creating momentum. They're usually good with having a little bit more attention on them, but they can also be misunderstood as pushy or a lot. But what it actually is they're taking action. Okay. And they get really, really energized by getting people moving. So that would be my question for you. If you think you might be a galvanizer, do you feel energized getting people moving and being around them? With these two, you want to think about discernment being more of an internal thing with yourself, where galvanizing is that energy is external. It's coming from others and building a team of sorts, if you will. Okay. One is deciding, one is moving, and both are needed. And then the last two, this is the implementation. Remember, I said that this was the ones actually doing it. So you have enablement. And I think enablement gets a really bad rap because it can be like, oh, you're enabling, bad habits or this or that. But in what we're talking about here, enablement is support, helping people succeed. Sounds like teachers to me, right? Hand-holding, supporting them, walking alongside of them, being patient with them, seeing that they need help. In your studio, this is supporting your students and your families. And this can totally be misunderstood as overgiving, but it creates trust. So if you find yourself saying yes a lot, you could be under this enablement category. And then you have tenacity. Tenacity is completion. This is the one who is making the list, checking them twice, and they're never naughty. They're always nice. Yes, I just came up with that myself. But they're the ones who like to see something from beginning to end, and they are not going to start anything until Project A is finished from beginning to end. Okay. And they're going to be very clear about this. So it can be misunderstood as somebody who's rigid, but that's just not it. They need to see that. Okay. And we need tenacity. Oh my goodness gracious. We need you, tenacity people. You are going to be the ones who ensure that things get done. But going back to enablement and tenacity, enablement is very people focused, where tenacity is more project and completion focus. And both are necessary. All 6 of these are necessary. But again, we are not all 6, and we're having to do all 6. Most of us, not the gal who gets her stuff printed and binded for her, printed and bound for her, but the rest of us don't. And so I have to clarify something really quick. This is not all about what you're good at. Do we want to know what it is that you're good at and what gives you energy? Yes, we do. But you could be good at all of these things. It's not about that. It's not about, well, I'm just not good at being tenacious or, I'm not good at creating new things. You can do it because you're running a music studio. So if you're running a music studio, guess what? You've been using all 6. It's not about if you're good at them or not. It's about how much energy each one gives you and how much the other ones drain you. Okay. So I've taken the assessment. All right. And quick note, I am going to be running another cohort probably in June. I'm restructuring it just a smidge so that it can be a little bit more affordable for everyone. I already looked at the package. Anyone who signs up for the next cohort is going to get a free assessment with this because we're going to implement it into our cohort. But for me, I've done the assessment. My top 2 are galvanizing. Well, galvanizing is the top. Clearly, I love working with people. I love putting things together. I love all of it. I noticed that the MTNA, when I had like a little bit of a lull and I wasn't involved talking to people, I was actually like getting like all poo-pooey about it. Okay. So I am galvanizing all the way. And my next one was invention, which explains it. I always have all these ideas and I feel like I got to start them. And it's like, ooh, let's go. But guess what my lowest is? Tenacity. Woo, tenacity, way there at the bottom. Okay, I have such a hard time following through things. I can tell you finishing these Coda books in time for MTNA. Well, let's put it this way. If I hadn't had that table at MTNA, it probably would not have been done because doing it was hard. It was so much harder than I thought it was. It was not easy. I'm just letting you know that. All of you self-publishers out there, all of you who create these games and sell them, holy moly, you guys, that stuff's a lot of work. It's exhausting. So good for you. But what's really funny to me with tenacity is this lines up with this podcast. It literally lines up with everything that I talk about all the time. You know, all the systems and the business end and all that stuff. I think this is hilarious because it's the hardest for me. And I think that's why I'm so obsessed with getting the word out there and getting people to do these things. I think the big takeaway here is that the things that frustrate you, what would be your lowest two, they might be where you're working against your God-given natural energy. You're not meant to be all six. As you were listening, I want you to really think about, as I was describing them, what felt more natural, what sounded more heavy, or maybe even a little bit more like, ugh, that is, ugh. Maybe it was tenacity. Maybe you're like, ugh, no, I love starting the projects. I hate finishing them. I hate keeping track of my expenses. I hate doing all that admin stuff. Okay, what do you avoid? Taxes, all the admin stuff. Maybe you love that. Maybe you are like, spreadsheets are my number one. You know, I don't know. I think it really, really is just super cool. And I'm so grateful that I was introduced to this because listen, we're not meant to be all six, but we're expected to be, and we're expected to do a good job. And then we're like, why are we so burnt out? Why are we so tired? Well, I think this is a pretty good theory, if I do say so myself. And something I'm really excited as we go through this series is that this doesn't just apply to us as teachers or business owners. You know, it applies to us simply as musicians too, but then it also applies to our students. They have their own natural working genius at work too. It's interesting stuff. So we're going to explore all of that. But in the meantime, if you want more clarity, take the assessment. It's $25. I am not affiliated. I am not getting a dime for this. They do not know who I am. And then if you're like, well, maybe I'll look into the cohort later, the assessment will be included in that as well. But this week, you know, just notice your energy, start thinking about it, connect it to these types. And then, of course, since I was talking about the Coda books, well, any of my resources, really. I have other resources. I haven't put up my workbooks yet. I have a really great financial workbook that I did for the cohort, which will be available in the next cohort. I do need to put up my resources soon, but I've got all kinds of stuff on there. Also, if you do go to www.scrappypianoteacher.com/Coda, there will be a pop-up and you can get your free Coda sample. It's called Beef Sticks. That's right. Coda loves her beef sticks. And that one's actually from the book Scaredy Dog. But I restructured it to where it was a standalone story in a piece. So it has a little story about Coda, and it's got some really fun creative tips that you can do with it. And it's got a pre-reader on it that you can teach with the student, or you can teach it by rote. So feel free to take a look at it. All right, guys, that's it for today. I appreciate you guys. I think you're amazing. I think you're awesome. Make sure that you thank a creator today for something that they do that helps you. And make sure that you're subscribed. Okay, however you're watching / listening to this, make sure you're subscribed to it because subscribed because it helps me. It helps me so much. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. I hope that you have the most amazing weeks of your lives, most amazing weeks ever. Okay, bye.